Welcome back for video number 2 of Chapter 8. As always, here comes the greatest joke that you've heard since my last one. So my joke today, what did the blanket say to the bed? Don't worry, bro, I've got you covered. Boom, there it is. So as always, take a couple of seconds to take it all in, but now we're going to get back to some history. So today we're going to talk mostly about government reform, which again, the progressive era mostly is going to be a time period where you have a group of different people, you have a collection of different members of society who are mostly going to be middle to lower class, and they're trying to change different things, and they're going to try to change a lot of corruption. But today they're mostly going to be focused on the democratic aspect. So one of the great aspects that we have here in America, voting rights and things like that. So democratic reform is going to be started by Robert La Follette. Now, Robert La Follette, he was both a member of the House and he was a senator from the best state in the United States, which you guessed it, Wisconsin, my home state. But he is going to kind of lead all this reform, and he's going to do a couple of different things. And I have really 3 definitions of things that he is going to do. So, as always, it's a good idea, just write it in your own words to kind of shorthand it. So, the first thing he suggests, and the first thing that's going to happen, they are going to institute what's known as a recall. And a recall vote, really all it does is allows voters to take an elective representative and remove him from office. Now, this isn't necessarily just going to be done just for fun or because there's one single issue. But if it's corruption and time again they're taking money and things like that, they shouldn't be in power. You know, a lot of times I say that it's up to you to kind of make your own opinion, but this is going to be one of the one times I kind of come out on a limb and say, if a leader is corrupt and they're taking money and they're stealing things, yeah, they probably should not be in office. So now at this point, they could be recalled, because up until this point, if you were a senator, well, you got that job for 6 years. So once you were a senator, you could do anything you wanted for that amount of time. You couldn't be taken out of office. Now, Robert La Follette, he is going to institute a recall. The next thing is something known as an initiative. And what this does, it allows voters to petition the state legislatures to put something on the ballot. Now, this was going to be done last time in the state of North Dakota. And when they voted, we talked about it a lot. We talked about Measure 3 in recreational marijuana. Now, that was not something that was brought up by a state legislature. That was a private citizen that wanted to change a law in the state of North Dakota. So he went around and got people to sign a petition. Once enough people sign a petition, it goes on the ballot, and then everybody who is eligible to vote, we then vote on that. So that's going to be an initiative. And really, this just makes it so people have more of a say in government and more of a say in the laws. And then the last one, a direct primary. Now, what this does, it just allows all party members to vote for a candidate to run in the general election. Now, I know I read that one word for word here, but the big thing here to look at here is a general election. What that is going to refer to, that is when we vote for the president. Before we had a direct primary, essentially what was done is you had people who were Republicans who were very high up in the party, or people who were Democrats and were very high up in the party, and they would meet at the national convention, and they would just decide so-and-so is running for office. Now, that isn't very democratic. That's not really instituting a democracy. So a direct primary, which is something that is done today for both the Republican and the Democratic Party, and really all the political parties that aren't really the first and second tier, they are going to do that as well. And the last thing for democratic reform, they also are going to pass the 17th Amendment, which I don't make you guys memorize all the amendments, but it's a good idea to have an understanding of what they're going to mean. The 17th Amendment now allows for the citizens to vote for a senator, which you're probably thinking like, boom, this is mind-blowing. You had no idea that this was done before. The old way, if you were elected to the state legislature, so who we're going to be going and seeing in March here in the next few weeks, those are the people who used to pick who the state senators are going to be. Now, again, using the same topic, if that's not really democratic, the 17th Amendment allows it for a direct election of a senator. And then the last thing for today, reforming society. Again, a lot of you guys are going to find this when you start doing research, and even when we did research on the muckrakers, but a lot of kids, they were working. And another aspect of reforming society was just overall changing that. Now today we know you have to be at least 16 years old to do certain jobs, or even 18 years old to work in a factory. But back in the early 1900s, it didn't matter how old you were. You could be 10 years old working in a coal factory or going down to the mines. Now, progressives see that as a major issue. And I'm guessing as I'm saying this, you guys are probably thinking the same thing, that's going to be a major issue as well. So now at this time, we're going to have laws that come out creating a minimum age for work. And then the last thing, as far as reforming society for this video, is going to be produced by President Roosevelt. And the next video is going to talk more specifically about President Roosevelt and what he's going to be able to do. But he proposes legislation to clean up the meatpacking industry after reading The Jungle, which I won't go into too much detail because we are going to have an assignment with The Jungle. You guys are going to read a little bit about it. But essentially, this was a book that came out by Upton Sinclair to just really tell the rest of society what life was like in a meatpacking factory. And from it, President Roosevelt, there's kind of this urban legend that he was actually eating his morning breakfast, which was sausage and eggs, and he was reading about how sausage was made. And when you read these little excerpts, you're going to realize that a change needed to be done. So from that, they create the Food and Drug Act and also the Meat Inspection Act, which I have really basically the definitions of them on there. You don't need to write these ones down. Really just know the Food and Drug Act, you now have to label certain things. They want to make sure that you're preventing the manufacturing, sale, and transportation of adulterated or misbranded food. And the last thing, the Meat Inspection Act just makes it so that any meat that is sold in the United States, it cannot be misbranded, it cannot be changed. You have to tell the truth. Just like today, if you go and buy something, there has to be an expiration date. That is going to kind of start from this Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act.